If you're a fan of my channel, you know that I'm also a huge sports fan. I love sports documentaries, and I just haven't reviewed a lot of them. And I'm thinking about maybe mixing it up and doing a little more. There's some really good ones. Recently, Welcome to Wrexham on FX just wrapped up. It was a 17-episode, half-hour per episode show about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McKinney buying the lowest tiered soccer club, Wrexham AFC, out in Wales. I am not a huge soccer fan, but let me tell you what, I was thoroughly hooked on this show episode to episode, and I can't wait to share with you what I thought. One thing I loved about this show is that both of them are, well, Rob McKinney is a huge Eagles fan, huge sports fan in American sports. They are very much learning the game of soccer, and they really recognize the storytelling properties of a sporting event, all the highs and lows. And I loved watching them go through the emotions of watching a game, because when I watch a game, especially the Raiders are probably the sports team I am most passionate about. Watching them go through the highs and lows of the fandom, I can relate. I can't imagine actually owning a team. You're invested probably even more than the average fan. And then with this football club, this was a really told the story not only of the football club but the town, how the town was completely invested in it.
The community of Wrexham will not mince words.
And I loved it. I loved watching how the tier systems work when you can move up. Something that's not in any of American sports. I loved how they spotlighted different fans and what that meant to them. We learned about the history of the club. The reason why I wanted to do the review was the second to last episode, episode 16. And what that was it really talked about what sports means to people. And they focused on Wrexham AFC, but then they also talked about how Ryan and Rob's upbringings had them enjoying sports with their families. They had a guest on, Liz Plank, who wrote For the Love of Men, and she spoke to how men relate specifically with sports, with their families, and they really focused on men, on how like their dads and then their friends all really find this mutual bond, a connection. And she even went into talk about during the pandemic when sports were gone. Now, as a sports fan, I can relate, because certainly during the pandemic, I missed sports incredibly. It's always been something in my life that I talk with my friends about. Now my kids are sports fans, and then I also have grown up watching basketball with my own dad. This is probably one of the coolest episodes I've seen on TV, and relates to how I can relate to it. So I loved that they really focused on, they showed different fans with their dad and their kids, and how that fandom grows up and up and up. And so it really it made me think of my own family, and how my dad and I still to this day, we text and talk about games. I have a group chat with my friends. We talk especially during football, also a lot of basketball. And now my kids my two youngest are huge into sports, and we have some good sports conversations. I never really thought of it like that how important it was to our bonds and our relationships. And it seems maybe almost like a silly thing to bond over, but it really had an impact on me, and it made me really want to root for Wrexham and have that team see them get their promotion. I'm going to personally give this one an A+. It's going to get the gamut paw of approval. I will caution you, though, if you are not a sports fan, I don't know how much you would actually like this. They do really focus on the families of the players and the town quite a bit, and they do tell a compelling story. But they do focus quite a bit on the actual business side of football club. If you're not into sports, you may not like this. I watched this by myself. It's not something my wife watched with me. The kids thought it was kind of neat, and then Wrexham was on television just the other morning. We got to watch a little bit of their game. And funny, we didn't watch the whole game because we had to leave one kid was playing soccer, one kid was playing basketball. Sports got in the way of us watching sports, which is kind of funny. So I'm hoping to see how this video does. There's a lot of sports documentaries out there I'd love to talk about. The ones that always are the best for me are ones that I can relate to. If I was specifically a fan during that time or had some kind of emotional connection, those are the best ones. And there's been a lot released recently. What you should do now is go down, hit subscribe, go down and comment below what you thought of this show. How does it rank with other sports documentaries? Because there's a lot out there. What is your fandom? Do you find that you have a passion that goes with all your families in the past, or are you kind of your own fan and no one else likes to watch it? Which I do run into. I have other members of the family that don't like sports at all. But I found this quite interesting. And now, after watching this video, I think you definitely have something to brag about.